If I was asked to set up a non-profit now at 27, I might not say yes so quickly. I think at 18, 17, it was just fresh out of high school, very hopeful. People always tell me that, oh, Heidi, you're so brave to start off so young. I tell them that it's that fresh hope that, many adults don't have now. My name is Heidy Quah and I'm from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. So I first started volunteering at the refugee school together with my best friend. Together we set up Refuge for Refugees. After I finished secondary school, I had about 4 months before I started college when I decided that, I wanted to spend that time volunteering and try to meet the gaps in the system. So when refugees come to Malaysia, they don't have access to basic education, healthcare, job opportunities, and protection. This often means that they live in a limbo while waiting to be resettled to another country. They often end up victims of exploitation and abuse. I asked around to understand the needs better, and I was pointed to a refugee school in the heart of KL that needed English teachers. I went in to teach thinking that I'm here to change lives, I'm here to make a difference. 4 months in and I'm done and over with, only for me to realize that the issues that these communities were struggling was so much more deep-rooted. It was something that 4 months couldn't fix. So Refugees, we run 35 schools, 2 halfway homes and a social business school. With these schools, we try to ensure that these kids have access to formal education. In our schools, we also run a social business component where we equip and teach these kids, social business skills so that they can create products to sell, to earn an income. And what's really powerful is that, over the past 3 years, we've seen 16 out of our 35 schools becomes fully self-sustainable. Our shelters are usually for children who have lost their parents. I personally spend a lot of time doing case management work. This means looking into human trafficking cases of abuse, cases of exploitation, and trying to just find solutions for each and every one of these cases. On a day-to-day operations of organization, a few other things that we do is that we run a lot of consultancy programs, leadership development programs with corporates in Malaysia. We sit down with boards of directors and management teams to look at how we can improve on their anti-trafficking policies. When the lockdown happened, we were in the midst of just transitioning all our schools online, only to realize that more than online education, what these families really needed was food on the table. Many of them had lost their jobs and couldn't afford to keep feeding their families. And so my team and I came together to ensure that we are able to provide groceries to 1,000 families on a weekly basis. And up till now, we are still doing it. So much of the work has been so challenging and so lonely. But I know more than ever that this is a calling, and we've seen how obedience have really paid off over the years. I think in the years of my work, something that consistently pops up every day is God break my heart for what breaks yours, right? And when I think about what breaks God's heart, it is injustice. It is injustice, it is unkindness, it is abuse of powers. And what does bringing justice mean? A lot of times, I think for me, it means learning to show up, learning to be a voice, learning to be brave, learning to be courageous, and learning to speak up. Who am I as a leader? Why is it so hard to talk about? A lot of times people think that leaders are people who have it together. But I think that a lot of times it's far from the truth. Leaders are people who are still figuring things out. And in leading, what's really important to remember is to, number 1, lead with humility. Number 2, lead with courage. And number 3, be consistent. I would like to say that vulnerability is strength. And I'm really glad that I learned this 3 years ago. It helped me be more human. It helped me even be kinder in my approach to the people that I'm leading. A couple of years ago, I read this quote that says, be somebody who makes everybody feel like a somebody. And I think it really shaped who I am as a leader. And it's a challenge that I've taken up upon myself to show up daily, to be somebody who makes everybody feel like a somebody. And I think when I started learning to be more vulnerable with my team, that's when we saw a huge growth in the team, because everyone realizes that they won't be criticized for not knowing how to do things right. The only key and important thing is having your heart in the right place and learning to show up and be consistent in what you do.